Hello there and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to make some Pokemon fans angry because they hate opinions. Hang on, no, that's not right. A little while ago I made a video called Every Crash Bandicoot Game Ranked, in which I ranked every Crash Bandicoot game. Clever title, right? Today I figured why not do the same thing with a fanbase that's as unstable and fragile as the House of Cards, Pokémon. I'm going to give my own opinions on each set of main series games, briefly going over what I like and what I don't like about each one, and then place them in one of 5 tiers. The tiers go like this. Bad games go into the Poké Shit tier, mediocre games go into the Poké Whatever tier, good games go into the Poké Cool tier, great games go into the Poké-tastic tier, and amazing games go into the... let's call it... Poké-licious. The Poké-licious tier. Before we begin, let me just say that if you find yourself enjoying the video, I encourage you to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. You know you want to. Anyway, let's crack on. We're going to go in chronological order, so obviously starting off with red, blue and yellow. Now I haven't actually played yellow, but I'm pretty sure the only major difference is the significance of Pikachu, and beyond that they're mostly the same. Anyway, this is where it all began for the highest grossing media franchise in the world. I gotta say, considering the fact that these games are on the Game Boy, they're not bad. They're obviously classics and have that nostalgic charm to them. But honestly, I don't think they're as good as we all remember. I mean, they're riddled with bugs and glitches and the battle mechanics are all over the place. I mean, why are the stats for physical attack and defense separate, but the stats for special attack and defense the same? Why were there even physical and special attacks in the first place? Why couldn't there have just been attacks? What's the logic there? And why is speed linked to critical hits? Like, what the fuck do those two things have to do with each other? Why does focus energy lower the chance of critical hit? What's the point of using that? Why can Pokeballs miss randomly? It's a bit of a mess in good old Kanto. Red, Blue and Yellow also shat out some of the worst Pokemon designs ever, like Voltorb and Dugtrio. The story is, well, there, I guess, but it's a very old game, so I think I can give it a pass. With all that said, I think I'm going to put Red, Blue and Yellow in the Poké Cool tier. They're alright. Just alright. Next door from Kanto we enter Johto in Gold, Silver and Crystal. Kind of like Red, Blue and Yellow, I haven't played Crystal, but I'm going to assume the differences are only minor, because I know that reselling the same game in 3 different coats of paint has been the Pokemon Company's hobby for a long time now. Gold, Silver and Crystal are basically just general improvements to Red, Blue and Yellow. They fixed some of the problems with the battle mechanics and added some cool new features like the day and night cycle and breeding at the daycare and all that. You know, breeding at the daycare definitely sounds bad out of context. Anyway, as a step up from Red, Blue and Yellow, Gold, Silver and Crystal are going into the Poké-tastic tier. Across the pond from Pokemon's humble Game Boy beginnings, we head to Hoenn on the Game Boy Advance. Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald are kinda weird, because I remember really liking them when I played them, but I struggle to think of things that I actually like about them. They introduced some sick Pokemon, for example Absol is my second favourite Pokemon and the first Pokemon I ever raised to level 100. Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald also introduced double battles, which are pretty fucking cool. I also like the more involved story and the battle frontier, but other than that, meh? They removed the day and night cycle for some fucking reason, and the region of Hoenn I find to be really forgettable. A lot of the locations just feel the same, and I know it's kind of a meme to say this, but Hoenn really does have too much fucking water. Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald aren't bad games by any stretch of the imagination though, so I'm gonna put them in the Poké Cool tier. Next up is Fire Red and Leaf Green, the first of the remakes. Normally when people think of remakes, they think of new features, quality of life changes, new content and all kinds of fresh and exciting stuff. Fire Red and Leaf Green, being remakes of the primitive Red, Blue and Yellow, came nowhere close to offering any of that. Other than a visual overhaul, Fire Red and Leaf Green are pretty much exactly the same as their original counterparts. You can't even get any of the newer Pokemon until you've basically completed the game. They may as well have just ported the original games to the Game Boy Advance. And you may be thinking, well, what about the Sevi Islands? I'll give you that, the Sevi Islands are technically new content, but they're lame as fuck. I mean, the 7 islands are literally called 1 Island, 2 Island, 3 Island, 4 Island, 5 Island, 6 Island, and who would have guessed it, 7 Island. They should totally give a raise to the guy who decided it would be a good idea to keep the placeholder names they came up with during development. Fire Red and Leaf Green are the biggest wastes of space in Pokemon since Stantler, so they're going into the Poké shit tier. Diamond, Pearl and Platinum are next in line. Before I start talking about them, let me just say that Diamond was my first ever Pokemon game, so I have a lot of nostalgia and bias towards these games, which will obviously influence my thoughts on them. But I don't give a fuck, it's my video. I think that Diamond, Pearl and Platinum are the best Pokemon games. And that's the end of that sentence. They introduced so many great Pokemon, including Lucario, who is my favourite. The story was pretty good, if not a bit over the top. Cynthia, who is the best champion of course. So many memorable locations and songs, even the Sinnoh region itself is just absolutely brilliant. Platinum is especially incredible. Plus, there's the changes and improvements to the battle mechanics, all the post-game content like the battle area, just everything about the games are amazing. Surfing is a bit slow in Diamond and Pearl, but that was fixed in Platinum, so no big deal. I literally have almost no complaints about these games, so they're without a doubt going into the Pokélicious tier. Can't believe I called it Pokélicious, that's terrible. Now we move on to Diamond, Pearl and Platinum's Generation 4 cousins, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Take notes, Fire Red and Leaf Green, this is how you do a remake. Cool new features, the most notable of which is Pokemon Following You, which won the fans' hearts almost immediately, bringing over the Battle Frontier from Sinnoh, Pokéathlon tournaments, the option for Game Boy music, extra legendary events, even being able to take photos. They're just such an amazing improvement on the originals in basically every way, so they're easily joining Diamond, Pearl and Platinum in the Pokélicious tier. Black and White are up next, and from my experience they seem to be some of the more controversial games in the series. I don't really know why, but it's probably down to the fact that you can only use Pokemon from Generation 5 until you reach the post-game, but that isn't a bad thing, it shakes things up and keeps it somewhat fresh. Black and White does a lot of things right, plenty of cool Pokemon, a cool story, gym leaders that are more involved in what's going on, plenty of post-game content, the battle subway. They're good games, they're not without flaws, but they're not bad, so I'm going to put Black and White into the Pokétastic tier. Black 2 and White 2 basically do everything Black and White does well, and just improves everything. They make more Pokemon available, introduce the incredible additions of the Pokemon World Tournament and Pokestar Studios, they add more areas to explore in the region, new characters, I mean what more could you ask for? I don't think the story for Black 2 and White 2 is as good as Black and White, but it's still good. And also, Iris is a much better champion than Alder. So yeah, since they're a general improvement on Black and White, Black 2 and White 2 are going into the Pokélicious tier. Moving on to the 3DS, we have X and Y. X and Y took the leap into 3D, which meant big changes were coming in this new generation. Visually, that is. The vibrant, colourful sprites had now been replaced with generally flat-coloured 3D models. It's not all bad, but some Pokemon and locations and such had become a bit boring to look at. X and Y wasn't necessarily a whole downgrade though, as there were some things that improved the Pokemon experience. Mega Evolution was something fresh that really shook things up from the recycled battle formula used in the last 5 generations. There was also the introduction of the Fairy type, whose only job was to fuck up the dragons. Also, cool Pokemon like Pyro and Greninja and Aegislash and Noivern made their debut. But other than that, X and Y are just meh. The story is meh, the characters are meh, a lot of it is just run-of-the-mill. X and Y are good games overall though, so they're going into the Pokétastic tier. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire then came along as remakes of Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald. Now over the years, Pokemon fans frothed at the mouth over remakes of the Hoenn games, and when they got it, they complained because it wasn't the remake they were hoping for. Fucking Pokemon fans. Honestly though, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are pretty decent remakes. It takes Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, adds Mega Evolution and up-to-date battle mechanics, access to most of the legendary Pokemon through Hooper's portals, a Delta episode, and admittedly a lesser version of the Battle Frontier, but a Battle Frontier nonetheless. I mean, they may not be perfect, but they're certainly better than fucking Fire Red and Leaf Green, so they're going into the Pokétastic tier alongside X and Y. I'm going to talk about Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon together since they're very similar. Generation 7's gimmick was Z-moves, which is worse than Mega Evolution, and I don't understand why they did that, but whatever. These games tried something different which I liked. Instead of a generic gym challenge, Alola put us through the Island challenge, which is a very refreshing experience. Story-wise, these games are pretty decent too. I love the idea of the Ultra Beasts and the Team Skull Aether Foundation dynamic. Team Rainbow Rocket was a neat idea as well. I also love that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are actually difficult Pokemon games, like they can actually be genuinely challenging at times. Also, seeing classic characters like Looker, Cynthia, Red, Blue, Annabelle, Wally and Colress was really cool. Also, they removed HMs. Fucking took them long enough. If it weren't for the very long beginning of the game and the plodding through the early stages, these would be near perfect Pokemon games, so I'm going to put Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon into the Poketastic tier. Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee are next. They seem to be controversial among the fanbase, but then again, what isn't? These games are a mixed bag. They changed up the wild Pokemon system, where they don't appear randomly in tall grass, but you can see them running around in the overworld. That is pretty cool. They also changed the catching system to mimic Pokemon Go, which is really cool as well. But for some reason, these games took a lot of steps back. Basically, all Pokemon from Generation 2 onwards were removed from this game, and a lot of attacks were removed as well. Abilities gone. I mean, what were they thinking with that? It's really weird. The game took 2 steps forward, but then immediately took 2 steps back. I will say visually the Let's Go games are fantastic, but that doesn't save them from feeling like there's a lot missing from them. Still better than Fire Red and Leaf Green though. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are going into the Poke-Cool tier. Finally, Sword and Shield, including the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra DLC, which also turned out to be very controversial. First of all, I will say this as a fact. Visually, Sword and Shield, as well as the DLC, look fucking shit. The models, the textures, basically everything but the character models look terrible. I'm not taking questions on that, that is just a straight up fact. There are a few things Sword and Shield do that I like though. I really like the concept of the wild area. I love the concept of an open world area where you can find and catch Pokemon, a concept that I'm assuming is the base for the Pokemon Legends game, which I'm really looking forward to. Max raids are also pretty cool conceptually, and I also like the whole theme of the gyms being in actual proper arenas, and the tournament style Pokemon League is really cool as well. Everything else, mostly crap. The story, mostly crap. The characters, mostly crap. The locations, mostly crap. Dynamaxing, it's worse than Z-Moves, which was already worse than Mega Evolution. Missing Pokemon? Why? It's generally a run-of-the-mill experience, and the only thing that's keeping me from calling these games outright bad is the wild area. So Sword and Shield are going into the Poke-Whatever tier. So there you go. If you're a Pokemon fan, I suspect you're absolutely fuming with rage at the fact that I expressed an opinion. If you feel like it, leave a comment below explaining why I'm wrong. Also, if you enjoyed, leave a like, and if you didn't enjoy, leave a like, just so I have a true metric of how many people made it to this part of the video. Also, subscribe to the channel, you won't regret it. Anyway, that's enough from me, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.